major things. Is there actual support for this movement, sufficient to justify what it's actually trying to do? Second, when it actually happens, who will people blame? And finally, are there alternative methods for us to achieve democracy? On all three of these questions, we will show you why Occupy Central is not the most ideal way to achieve democracy. But it's very important for us to recognize that opposition down the line does support democracy. We believe that democratic reform is necessary. We just think Occupy Central is not the way to do it. So let's begin with the first question. Is there actual support for this movement? Because we told you that when we did a referendum on this, only around 700,000 people came out to vote. Opposition came up and said, no, in every single legislative election, over 60% of people vote for pan-democratic parties. That surely means that most people would support this movement. We reject that. In fact, we recognize that most people who are politically moderate in Hong Kong do want democracy. What they do not want, however, is Occupy Central. What they do not want is instability. They believe in legitimacy whilst maintaining a stable city. That's what they actually want. So they can't just basically come up and say, just because 60% of people support broadly democracy, they therefore support this specific method to achieve that. That's very important. But more importantly, those 700,000 people who came up in this referendum included overseas students such as myself voting at that referendum. They told us that our anti-Occupy Central particular referendum was illegitimate because of overseas people who were voting as well. The same thing applied to their particular one where Occupy Central was supported. On both cases, the numbers were inflated. But even though in both cases the numbers were inflated, the numbers were limited to around 700,000 or 900,000. The majority of people in Hong Kong haven't spoken out yet. We have a brilliant explanation for why this is true. Now, we've already shown you why there's not sufficient support for this. So let's move on to who will people actually blame. Now, we think it's very important here to recognize that the group of people in between who haven't spoken is the key group we need to convince to achieve democracy in Hong Kong. They are the people, take a moment, sir, who are politically apathetic, who are mostly moderate, who think the political parties are illegitimate at the moment or don't really represent them. Those are the people who need to voice out in order for democracy to happen. I'll show you why Occupy Central actually disincentivizes them. Who would do that here?
In every single democratic movement, both me and Ben have been talking about, there's always been a core of radical activists who've made things happen, and the rest of the people, because of family reasons, perfectly legitimate reasons, have stood back. Why do you think Hong Kong is any different in this?
Fantastic. We do think that every democracy movement has been in some way divided. But the most important thing is the radical group too radical for the normal moderates? So much so that reform doesn't happen because normal people don't support you. We take the example of the civil rights movement they tried to talk about. Right? We think that people like Martin Luther King Jr. were radical, but they were at the same time acceptable to the majority of the population who thought that he was a necessary person to bring them towards reform. You contrast that to people like Malcolm X, who was absolutely violent, who was considered unacceptable, who was assassinated in the face of his own supporters. This is the difference. When you're too radical for normal moderates, you can't achieve change. So, let's question this point. Who will people actually blame? If we look at the fact that the majority of the middle class actually want to protect their own jobs, what Occupy Central actually does is it creates the financial disruption that they themselves were so proud of. It damages the middle class families that you were trying to protect. We saw the big four accounting firms come up and basically say that no, you can't allow them to support the Occupy Central movement. Yes, some employees came up and said, I don't support what my accounting firm said, I don't support what my employers have said. But even then, they had to hide their own names in order to protect their own jobs. The middle class families in Hong Kong today, the politically moderate people, find it very difficult to support this movement when their own livelihoods are affected. And when Occupy Central actually happens, when financial disruption, no thank you sir, actually happens, what people will blame is not necessarily the Chinese government for not giving us democracy. The middle class people, the apathetic people, the moderate people in between will be blaming the pan-democratic movement, especially the radical extremists, for putting them in that predicament. And that's when you will see the pan-democratic movement break apart. That's why we think it's so difficult. We've already seen all these effects happen at this particular point. I've already told you about how the pan-democratic movement is dividing at this particular moment. We have moderate people like the Civic Party, we have moderate people like the Democratic Party, and we have the radical extremists like the League of Social Democrats and People Power. Those people are dividing up the pan-democratic movement and actually making it weaker instead of stronger. So finally, to the third major question, are there not come up and said that they do support universal suffrage. They just want a nomination process that is broadly controllable. For example, they can use legislative councillors to nominate these people. That would still allow anti-democratic councillors to get into the nomination process, but doesn't necessarily involve every single citizen in Hong Kong. We think that's totally legitimate. We think it's necessary for us to push for these proposals that are actually voted. They're actually in the middle of the central government can accept. Because politics isn't about purity. It isn't about purity of ideals. It's about drawing the compromises necessary to achieve the reforms that we want. And we think for Hong Kong right now, we want democracy, but we want a compromising solution that allows the central government to swallow it. Otherwise, they're simply going to crack down on us. So what is necessarily opposition telling you? We're telling you that first of all, the support for Occupy Central is insufficient. Secondly, we're telling you that people will blame the pan-democratic movements instead of the central government for these kinds of things. And finally, we are telling you that there are viable alternatives by focusing on the compromise proposals that can actually go through